So my topic's on intergenerational transmission of violence. How it's explained is it has to do with the impact of violence, particularly on domestic violence, that it has on kids and ones who witness it. Most frequently, the violence they look at can be critically affected by the child's personal growth and development. Young males generally develop to become abusers when they witness their dad abusing their mother. Women are usually the ones that are abused. Domestic violence explained, this is the cycle of abusive actions and attitudes in a relationship that is applied by a single partner to obtain force, power, or command over the other. This can be psychological, sexual, economical, emotional, verbal, or physical abuse. Kids, more likely than not, are exhibited to these kinds of violence day by day. Kids grasp these behaviors at a young age and then performs these actions when they become an adult. Social learning theory, produced by Albert, a Canadian-American psychologist. His theory advises that examination and modeling takes part on how and why people learn. It mentions how cognitive and environmental aspects interconnect, which influences an individual's behavior and knowledge. The youth learn aggressive actions because they observe it day by day. Children who see domestic abuse learn aggressive behavior more. Domestic abuse effects for young kids, that can be wetting the bed, high sensitivity or crying, issues with sleeping or going to sleep, separation anxiety. Effects for school kids, not wanting to engage in classroom or school activities, bad grades, performance in school. The child may feel guilty and to blame for the happening of him or her. Getting into trouble or acting out at school. Effects of teenagers, acting out negative like skipping school, getting in fights at school, fights with family. Things could be drug related. Domestic violence affecting the child's behavior. A child that's an eyewitness of domestic abuse has the likelihood to show feelings of stress, anger, depression, or fear. These inclined behavioral issues affect the youth's brain growth. Two things that devote kids' development are unemotional behavior and conduct disorder, which develops antisocial personality issues when they are grown-ups. Child transforming into an abuser. Kids with conduct complications have the trend to carry out violent crimes with their adults. Causative effects of adversity is one of the highest assumptions with intergenerational transmission of violence. Since male children and adult males express increased anger and violence, the likelihood of the male child will develop into the abuser if their father was one. Child becoming the abused. Young kids that frequently see their dad batter their mother could be distressing enough by causing them to be abused. Kids from violent households are at 30 to 40% higher chance for psychopathology. Children being in presence of domestic violence will escalate the possibility of the child being in an abusive relationship, since that's all they saw growing up. Children think it is how family should work, and since they've been exposed to it their whole childhood. Strategies to block a child from becoming abusers. Primary doctors can assist kids and their guardians to keep away from abuse. Medical institutions should educate physicians of the negative effects of watching domestic abuse. And if the parents are frequently yelling at one another, then they should be taught different methods to communicate with their feelings. Children listening to their mother and father fight vocally is a form of domestic abuse. Strategies blocking children from becoming abused in adulthood. Child Protective Services can remove kids if they are witnessing domestic abuse in their household frequently. With the presence of psychologists, they can speak to the child about what they saw, which could help. If domestic violence has been seen for an extended period, then the child can be placed in programs to help them comprehend what they observed. Just an overview, intergenerational transmission of violence occurs when a kid sees large amounts of domestic violence to where the child is abused or the abuser when they are a grown-up. Social learning theory mentions that individuals recognize what's in their home and implement it in everyday lives. The youth in presence of domestic violence may suffer from large amounts of fear, anger, tension, pressure, or depression. Children could be the abuser or the abused from seeing domestic violence in their childhood home. And doctors, assistants, and CPS can aid in preventing kids from being abused or abusers from grown-ups. Those are references.